Here's what nobody is talking about: the $795 annual fee, the $6,000 spend requirement in 3 months, and especially a new eligibility rule that Chase quietly implemented earlier this year that will disqualify a ton of people who apply this week. And guess what? They won't even know until after they get denied the sign-up bonus. But I will show you how you can avoid that trap later on in this video. Okay, for most of you watching this credit card is not for you. And applying it is going to be such a huge mistake, and not because the sign-up bonus is bad, because the credit card is real. The sign-up bonus is real. And the math, that can absolutely work for you, but more on that later on. Here are 3 specific reasons that most people who apply for this credit card are either going to get denied, get approved without the bonus, or even worse, get approved and lose money on this deal. Unless you have been living underneath a rock, you know that the Chase Sapphire Reserve has increased to a new all-time high for a sign-up bonus from 125,000 points to 150,000 points. So if you've been waiting for the perfect time to apply for the Chase Sapphire Reserve, this is genuinely the best time that you will ever get. But this is where 90% of all YouTube videos will mislead you, because a sign-up bonus this high doesn't mean you should automatically apply. Reason number 1, where do you actually spend your money? Because the Chase Sapphire Reserve earns elevated points in specific categories. If your normal spending does not hit these categories, that means you're going to leave thousands of points on the table. The reserve gives you 8x points on travel booked through the Chase Travel Portal. It also does 4x points on flights and hotels booked direct, 3 times points on dining anywhere, and 1 times points on anything else. That last number means everything, because if your normal spending, 80% of it accounts for gas, streaming, utilities, groceries, that means that is 1x spend on all of those categories. There are literally $0 annual fee credit cards that will give you more points on gas or groceries than this credit card will. So unless you're genuinely spending most of your money on travel and flights and whatever, and not the occasional flight, not the once a month dinner, that means this credit card might be for you. Otherwise, the Chase Sapphire Reserve will earn you less than a credit card that costs $795 less. Very simple, very quick test. Just look at the last 3 months of your spending on your credit statement. If you do not see travel and dining at the top of these charts, this credit card, not for you. Because otherwise, the Chase Sapphire Reserve will be a slow bleed from your income, and you should probably just look at a different card that is free. That especially highlights the point that most people think, wow, I'm gonna get the Chase Sapphire Reserve card, and when I get that card, I'm going to start to travel more because wow, 150,000 point bonus. Wow, that is literally backwards. You should pick a card that's going to make you rewards on what you already spend, and not pick a card that's going to make it so you hope you're going to change your spending habits. Okay, reason number 2, the annual fee on the Chase Sapphire Reserve is $795. Let me say that again, $795. That is every single year. Every single year that you put this card in your wallet. But Kyle, the Chase Sapphire Reserve has credits that's going to offset the fee. Well, duh, every YouTuber will tell you that. Yes, there's a $300 annual travel credit. There's a $500 edits hotel credit, $300 dining credits, Apple Music /TV credits, DoorDash credits. On paper, yeah, sure. These credits, they sound like they make it more than the annual fee, but I said on paper, because here is the reality. Literally, what normal person uses all of these credits? I can not even think of anybody off the top of my head. The dining credit, for example, it only works at restaurants in the Sapphire exclusive table program. What even is that? I live in the middle of nowhere, so I'm never gonna see that in my life. If you don't live in or travel to a major city, you are never, ever gonna use that credit. It might as well just be trash. The $500 Edis hotel credit, that only works at super elevated properties. And if you're not a traveler who, even without the credit, books these types of luxury hotels, that credit is worthless to you. You're spending money just because it's there, not because you usually do. DoorDash credits, $5 here, $10 here a month. What am I gonna do with $5 here and $10 here? They expire every single month if you don't use them, and it's very easy to leave that money on the table. And the $10 a month Lyft credit, if you're driving your car, that credit might as well not exist to you because you're never gonna use Lyft anyways. And the Apple credit, well, I mean, obviously that only matters if you're using the Apple credit, and hopefully you're using Apple instead of Shopify, because duh. Okay, just be brutally honest with yourself. The $300 a month travel credit is what most people use, as well as maybe one, maybe two of the other credits. Do you think Chase does not know that already? Okay, so you're probably netting $400 before you start spending the points. But that annual fee is $795. Don't tell yourself, I'm gonna start figuring out how to spend the dining credit and start going to these nice restaurants. That is so backwards, and Chase just tricked you, because you need to look at the credits that you actually use, because those credits are what's saving you money. Don't count the ones you would never actually use if they weren't part of the coupon book. The most important reason number 3, not hitting that like and subscribe button. Okay, seriously, reason number 3 is the one that almost nobody is talking about. It is the one that's going to bite a ton of people in the neck, or whatever the saying is, that apply for their credit card this week in hopes of the $150,000 point sign-up bonus. Okay, so Chase recently changed how they handle the bonus eligibility. The old rule was the 48-month waiting period. So if you have ever earned a Sapphire bonus in the last 48 months, then you are automatically denied the bonus. That rule is gone. They actually replaced it with something way more stricter. The new language is a once per lifetime per Sapphire card. So if you've ever earned a sign-up bonus, ever, in the history of your lifetime, you are never going to be eligible for a Chase sign-up Sapphire bonus ever again. So that means you are not eligible to earn the 150,000 point bonus offer. It doesn't matter if you've canceled the card. So that means you can apply for the new Sapphire Reserve card. You might get approved. You might spend $6,000 in 3 months. And then you look at your phone and you're like, where are my points? They're never gonna come, because you didn't know this rule. People are gonna find out the hard way that Chase will not pay you the bonus. The nuance is, if you have earned a Chase Sapphire Preferred card bonus in the past, but have never earned the Reserve bonus in the past, you're safe. The rule is per card, not per family. Don't forget the overhanging Chase 524 rule just sitting on top of all of this. If you fail to meet this rule, then high chance that Chase automatically denies your application. No appeals, no exceptions. It doesn't matter how good your credit score is. You're just denied. Okay, and here's how you avoid the trap I mentioned at the start. Before you submit your application, give Chase a ring. It's not that hard. And ask them if you have ever applied for any Sapphire Reserve cards in the past. Because if you have, do not apply hoping that you will get this bonus, because you won't. Period. And the trap is only a trap because people don't check before they apply. But Kyle, 150,000 points. I don't care. That still sounds like a massive offer. Well, duh, obviously it is. But you need to know how the points break down in real value, because most people are not educated and they use cash value for these points. So they redeem the 150,000 points at 1 cent per point, which is fine. That's still $1,500. So that's the bare minimum your points are worth. You usually, unless you really try, can't get lower than 1 cent per point. But because you're subscribed to my channel, you know that Chase has transfer partners like Hyatt, like United, like Southwest or Air France. When you transfer these points to the transfer partners, you are smart. You are now getting 2 to 3 cents a point. That's like double or triple or something. So congratulations. You have now taken that 150,000 point sign-up bonus offer and have converted it to 3,000 to 4,500 points. Now subtract the annual fee, $795 in year 1. So your net first year value, the strongest case redemption value, that means your points are worth between $700 and $3,700. And worst case scenario, if you don't care about maximizing your money for some reason, that these points are going to be worth, at minimum, still $700 net value after the first year, which is still pretty good. And like I just said, to hit the max value of these points, you need to transfer it to a travel partner. The problem is most people will never bother doing that. They'll never bother to learn because it seems hard. So for most viewers, and statistically speaking, these points are much closer to the $700 value instead of the $3.7K for the ceiling. And if you're sitting there and you're thinking, wow, these credit card makes sense. I'm in the strong redemption case value to sign up for this card. Well, congratulations. Luckily for you, I actually pinned the website, the link to apply for the Chase Sapphire Reserve card in the comment section. So just scroll to the comments, top comment, it's pinned, just click it, and it'll take you right to the Chase Sapphire Reserve website to apply. But please don't apply just because the link is there. Apply because the math that we have just done together makes sense for you and your spending habits. And you should 100% skip it if you're not able to hit the $6,000 spending requirement in 3 months without spending money that you normally would not spend. Because otherwise, what's the point of a credit card if you don't get the sign-up bonus, right? While I personally don't own a Chase Sapphire Reserve, actually the Chase Sapphire Preferred was one of the very first credit cards that I picked up when I was building my credit card setup 5 years ago when I was 19. So I actually had 6 credit cards by the time I was 19. And I made a video walking you through every single card I got in order and the mistakes that I wouldn't do if I can go back in time. So if you're trying to build your own credit card setup, this is the one you should watch next. So you should go ahead and click it. Okay, why haven't you clicked it yet? It's right here. It's gonna go away if you don't click it.